It's my pleasure to join with the County Executive, D'Onofrio, and Greece Town Supervisor Bill Relic, and my colleague from Albany, Senator Joe Roback. I want to thank the Buggios for opening their home and allowing several dozen people to traipse through their home to see the situation of flooding, which is really devastating. The crawl space is all finished. They have pumps running, and they're keeping the water at this level just static. And if it got any worse, it would come through the crawl space and it would fill the home. So it's truly a dramatic picture of how bad the situation is. Let me first wish everybody a happy Memorial Day, despite the difficulties that we're having here. It is Memorial Day, and it's a time to remember all the millions of Americans who gave their lives so we could live the way we live. I think this Memorial Day is especially poignant. We have boys overseas and women overseas who are defending this country. I also think these constant terrorist attacks make us all feel more anxious, more insecure, and more vulnerable, frankly. And I think it reminds us that this country stands for freedom, and there are a lot of people who see that as the enemy and see democracy as the enemy. So I think this is an especially poignant Memorial Day. The situation here in the town of Greece is devastating, that families have lived through this for weeks now. God bless their stamina, the amount of stress that they're under. This is not just in Greece, but literally roughly 1,000 miles of shoreline in the state. It goes from Niagara to Watertown. The lake is at the highest level in recorded history, period. It's my second visit here, and it actually seems worse on this visit than it was several weeks ago. We're doing everything we can on a state level. Some of the actions I want to talk to you about today. First, I've been through a number of emergencies, more than I care to remember, in just a few years as governor. We had Hurricane Sandy, we had Hurricane Irene, we had 7 feet of snow in Buffalo. So we've seen it all. The so-called new normal of the extreme weather is very true. This is another example with the highest record in history. The best way to handle for an emergency is to prepare before. Once it happens, it is too late. If you have not prepared, then you're not going to prepare once the emergency happens. We have brought in equipment from all across the state, pumps, generators, boats, light towers, etc. National Guard, over 1 million sandbags have been filled, and we're still doing it. We've purchased more sandbagging equipment. So we're doing everything we can in terms of preparation if, God forbid, the situation gets worse. The state has declared a state of emergency for the 8 counties: Cayuga, Jefferson, Monroe, Niagara, Orleans, Oswego, St. Lawrence, and Wayne. When you declare a state of emergency, that gives the state government additional flexibility and, frankly, speed. We don't have to go through so much of the bureaucracy to get things done. As I just mentioned, National Guard, hundreds of National Guard have been deployed. We've done over 1.3 million sandbags. We're going to keep deploying the National Guard until this is done. Depending on who you talk to, you're talking at a minimum weeks before the situation gets better. Nobody can really tell you. It's a function of Mother Nature. But 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks would not surprise me. And we want to be better. We want to be ready whatever happens. We have dispatched a mobile command center from the Department of Financial Services that can help people with insurance claims. Insurance companies are very good when they're trying to get you to sign on the dotted line. They're not as fast when you're trying to get recovery. the state regulates insurance companies through the Department of Financial Services. So if you're having trouble getting an insurance company to respond to you, the Department of Financial Services can actually be helpful. Memorial Day weekend, people are going to start to come up, use their vacation homes, etc. We're going to have the DEC offices, Department of Environmental Conservation offices, open on the weekends. So if people need permits, they want to do work in their yard, want to put up walls, repair walls, and they need DEC approval, DEC will be open during the weekends. We have $10 million for local governments who sustain damage, road damage, pumping station. Supervisor Relic has sustained damage here in the town. We have a $10 million fund to reimburse local governments. We have a $5 million fund to reimburse small businesses. Many small businesses are going to be wiped out by this situation. They are reliant on tourism. They're reliant on the summer income. And many of these restaurants and establishments you just can't get to. And they don't have the traffic. And their season is going to be over, and that's an economic disaster in and of itself. So the state has $5 million to help those small businesses. And today I'm announcing another 3 actions that we're going to take. Number 1, Memorial Day brings boaters. It's a beautiful lake. The boaters are going to get on the lake, and they're going to hit the gas, and they're going to go fast, and they're going to have fun. That's going to generate waves and large wakes. We just saw at the Bougie House, a wave comes in, it goes almost directly right into the basement. We are going to place an emergency order today by the Department of Parks. I'm going to sign it, that establishes a 5-mile-per-hour speed limit within 600 feet of the shoreline. Different municipalities have put in their own speed limits. They can authorize speed limits up to 500 miles from shore. We're going to go further, 600, and we're going to make it statewide so you don't have to guess what municipality you're in front of. And for the entire shoreline, it'll be 605 miles per hour. We assume people will understand, enjoy the lake, but your wake shouldn't swamp somebody's basement. So be considerate, think about other people, and that is going to go into effect today. We, Department of Parks and DEC are going to be putting out buoys, but we want to get the word out to the public because it is 1,000 miles, 5 miles per hour within 600 feet. If you don't, you'll be violating the law and you can receive a summons. Number 2, the legislature passed a bill that accelerates a municipality's ability to receive funding under what's called the Clean Water Infrastructure Act. I've signed that bill today, which will accelerate funding availability. And number 3, the state is going to make $7 million available to homeowners to reimburse them for damage to their homes, up to $40,000 per home, depending on the income level. This is for foundation work, deck work, basement work, etc., because many of these homes have sustained significant damage. If we can get insurance coverage, we will get insurance coverage, and we'll work with you to fight for insurance coverage. But if you get turned down by the insurance company, I don't want you to think you have no place to turn, because the state will help you out with the situation. With the homeowner assistance program, there's an income limit except for senior citizens. Any damage done to a senior citizen's home, the state will cover. We're going to continue to monitor the situation. As I said, we can help you with the insurance company, we can help governments, we can help businesses, we can help homeowners. We're going to be open on weekends. I'd like to give a phone number, 2 phone numbers if you need help on any of the above, 518-474-2057 and 518-486-9871. To the homeowners who are living through this, I say God bless you. The stamina and the stress and the fear. If there's a significant northeast storm, the damage could be horrendous. It could be horrendous. And people are living on pins and needles. I want you to know that New Yorkers are behind you. As I mentioned before, I've been through a number of emergencies, and I'll tell you this. When things are at their worst, New Yorkers are at their best. And nobody rallies around other people who need support like New Yorkers. It's like one family when push comes to shove. You need help, your brothers and sisters in New York are going to be there. And they act through the government, and we are going to be there. Whatever it takes, we are going to get through this. We have been through worse, and we're going to make it through this, and we're going to make it through this together. And it's my pleasure and my honor and my privilege and responsibility as governor to make sure that Greece and towns like Greece have everything they need. And we are one phone call away, and I'm not going anywhere. I'll be back time and time and time again until this situation is resolved. With that, let me turn it over to County Executive D'Onofrio and thank her for her leadership and her partnership through this situation. County Executive.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, let me say thank you to Governor Cuomo for joining us this afternoon. I really wish it was under different circumstances, but I have to tell you on behalf of a grateful Monroe County, the governor and his team have been with us throughout the flooding. They were also here for the windstorm, followed by the snowstorm, so we appreciate the support from the state. And I have to tell you that the governor has said it, and I want to reiterate. You know, we have been up and down the shores of Lake Ontario with our team and county government and our partners at the town level as well. And what makes Monroe County unique, and I have to say it because this is Monroe County, is the people, right? Everywhere you go, you see neighbors helping neighbors. You've got the scouts out helping fill sandbags. You've got volunteers from different towns coming out. But at the heart of it, it's about people making sure that the residents of this community remain safe. And I can't thank the people of Monroe County enough for being good neighbors and for being good people here in Monroe County. You really make Monroe County a great place to be. What we're looking at today. So today we're here out in Greece, obviously. I want to thank the homeowners for letting us traipse through their house. It's not easy. And I've got to tell you, whether we're in Hamlin or we're in Arundecoit or we're in Webster, the story is repeated over and over and over again. These are people's lives. These are their homes, right? They're your homes. They're your businesses. You have the right to live where you want to live. You want to run your business, and it's being taken from you. And we have to stand together with our neighbors, with our businesses, to ensure that they get through this situation, that they remain safe, that their businesses remain viable, that their homes are livable, that families can go home at night and can close their eyes and not wonder if their house is going to end up in the lake like our friends in Hamlin, or like our families here. That their utilities stay on, that their septic systems work, that our road crews can go out and we can drive on Edgemere Drive and make sure that the road remains intact, that our sewers are intact. This is a very large situation. That the people who want to come out and enjoy the lake, they want to come at a restaurant, you want to come into Monroe County and camp and fish. There's a lot at stake here. So when we're looking at today, we say thank you to the governor and his team for providing the support to get Monroe County back up on its feet. But I got to tell you, and I know the governor agrees and the supervisor agrees, and we got to look at the future too. So when we're here today, we want to ensure that people remain safe, that they have what they need to remain in their homes, that their businesses stay open. But as we look down the road, what is it going to take to make sure that this community, not only in Monroe County, but our neighbors to the east and west on the shoreline, continue to remain safe, that the lake levels are properly monitored, and that our residents and businesses have what it takes to continue to be prosperous here in Monroe County. I want to take a minute to also thank my team. I know Tim Kohlmeyer is here, and I got to tell you, Tim's been out on the scene day in and day out. He's our emergency manager for the county. He's He's been out there. Our DES has been out there. Our first responders. If you're a first responder in this behind me or out in the vicinity, thank you so much for all the good work that you have done. We cannot do it without you. Again, to the governor, I thank you. I thank your team. You have been really responsive to us every time, a phone call away, working hand in hand, teamwork. Number one here in the state, whether you're at a state level, a county level, a town level, a village level, we're all in this together. We are here. The county promises you that we will continue to work hand in hand to do the very best that we can to make sure that people remain safe and that our businesses and our families remain viable. At this time, I want to introduce the Supervisor, Bill Rylick, who I know has been out there. He's been day in and day out doing a great job for our community, a great leader. Bill Rylick.
Thank you, Cheryl. I got to tell you, I'm so thankful our governor is a governor that cares. He was out here during the windstorm. He's been out here twice now during this flooding episodes. And the support we received from the state, we would not be able to do what we're doing if it wasn't for the County of Monroe and the state of New York helping us. We've got 30 pumps running in the streets. We've got DPW crews working around the clock to keep those pumps full of gasoline and keep them running so that everyone can have their streets cleared. And I will tell you that when we have these episodes, we've had 3 now, it's unbelievable. All of you who live here know what I'm talking about. The 20 or 30-foot sprays of water that come up, they run down between the houses like as if you had a fire hose running and flood our streets. We had 1.5 feet water down here. So, Governor, the resources you provided us with the National Guard, they were out on Friday, and they've been here every day filling our sandbags, and in our town we've given out over 200,000. It's a lot of sandbags they've helped us with. But also this past Friday and Saturday, they were further down Edgemere, and they were building a wall of sandbags with concrete barriers along with our DPW crews so that we could hold back Round Pond. And because what we were doing is we were pumping Round Pond and there was no place for the water to go. That street, that portion of Edgemere hasn't seen daylight in a month. It's been flooded continuously, and now with that wall that those National Guardsmen have built, we're able to see blacktop, and I bet you before long we'll be able to open that road. But the support to these residents is so important. I've talked to so many of them going up and down the street, have tens of thousands of dollars of damage. Every night they can't even get a sound night's sleep. They hear the waves crashing against their house. And you know, in between these episodes, you see what today looks like. But boy, when it acts up, and we don't know when it's going to end, and we don't know if it's going to end this year and go into next year, start all over again. We really need to have the IJC listen. This is a plan that has failed everybody from Canada to the New York. And we're going to stand there. I know you're going to stand there as you have. I know our senator, our county exec is going to stand with us. And we're not going to stop fighting until we get this back to normal levels. And when I say normal levels, levels that people have lived with for 60 years. We haven't seen this kind of flooding but in 73. And in 73, we had over almost 31 inches of rain. This year, we had a little over 15 inches. But if you started at a higher point in November, December, and January, you're going to end up at a higher point. And there's no doubt about it that the IJC's decisions of not letting the water out earlier this year, when they could have done it safely, is what's caused the problems we've had here, unlike anyone seen in 100 years. So thank you for your help. We couldn't do it without your support. I know you care. I know you're going to stand with us to the end. And we're also going to lobby that federal government to bring in some support, too. Thank you, Governor, for your work.
Thank you.
Yeah. At this time, I'd like to have our great Senator Joe Robach say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. I will be brief going last, but I would just say that, too. This has been great that anytime, even during the windstorm, too, even before we got to the water, the governor, his Office of Emergency Preparedness, they've been great, whether it's been sandbags, National Guard, the machines to fill the sandbags. They've really been good, and that's what the job's for, but we appreciate this. I would just say, my colleagues kind of said it a lot. I feel like the old guy. I know so many people that live here. I know they've put their life savings into this. I know people that have worked their whole lives to get on the water, and then see this happen. It is so sad and frustrating. And this is different than 73. This is much more sustained, higher water, not a short time, impactful, and we don't even know when it's over. So it's great that you're here with relief. We don't know how much we're going to need. I was happy that the Senate passed the package that would address a lot of the things that the governor's finding the money for, and we may have to do more. But I couldn't agree with Supervisor Rylick more on the federal end and everybody here knows me. I'm not kicking the can down the road. This is their job. One, Mr. Bergio said it the best. There's going to be millions and millions of dollars they're going to have to go into here. We should be eligible for federal aid for this, just like a disaster anywhere else in the country. And secondly, there's no question that the IJC, this is a failed experiment. We need to have people be able to let the water out in anticipation of that. And all they did, this is the criteria. I mean, I say this, and some people don't like it. If there were no man-made controls on the lake, it would flood more. But what Criterion K did was kept the band this small. Now it's out of control, and they want no man-made controls, only by certain heights, and then you can't control it down the road. So there's a lot of things that need to get worked on, but we want to change this because hopefully, with the governor's help and everybody working together, we'll get through this one. But then we have to do everything we can to make sure it doesn't happen again. Thanks.
Here, here. Well said. Well said. Any questions for myself or any of my colleagues?
We're hearing a lot of people talk about the IJC and Plan 2014. They feel that this is to blame. What can be done? You talked about preparing so that stuff like this doesn't happen. What can be done to prepare to prevent this from happening next year?
Yeah, look, I think it works on two separate planes, right? Number one, we're going to do everything that we can do ourselves to alleviate the damage and be ready. New Yorkers from one end to the other are all coming together, and the state's going to make sure we do what we need to do and we have the support. On the second plane, I have sent one of the nastiest letters I've ever sent. Well, I sent a nasty letter to Joe once, but that was besides that one. There's no doubt but that the IJC blew it. I mean, they blew it. I mean, I don't even see how you can debate that, right? And I understand they have a lot of concerns that they have to deal with, and they're dealing with Canada and Montreal and St. Lawrence. I represent the people of the state of New York. And the people of the state of New York are getting the short end of the stick, right? And their homes are getting flooded. And my job is very simple. I've said to the federal government, I don't believe the federal government's appointees are doing enough to defend the United States and defend New York. I think the IJC has made a series of blunders. I don't buy their current rationale that they can't lower the lake because they're going to cause navigational issues for shipping. This can't go on. And I think their methodology was flawed to begin with, but they're doing tremendous damage. It has to stop, and it has to stop now. Well, let's take questions from the press, and then we'll talk whoever. Any other questions? Any other questions? All right.
Sorry, of the $7 million that you're making available for residents, I know the Bergio filter here was talked about the need for new boulders, for break balls. Is money available for that kind of use?
We have, first, we're appealing to the IJC on the larger issue of releasing water. Number two, we sent a letter to the Army Corps of Engineers. We need their help. We need their help immediately. They would be the agency that would bring in boulders that would be suitable to create a breakwater. The Commissioner of the Department of Environmental Conservation is here, Basil Sagos. He's been talking to the Army Corps of Engineers, but they are the ones who would have to bring in those boulders, and we're going to do everything we can to get them to respond and get them to respond as quickly as possible.
I got one question for you. Let me ask you this. Is there any way that, I know it's out of your control, but we need something to block this channel because people don't know that they can't go any farther, they can't get under the bridge. So they come down here and they're going to flood the roads. We'll be okay, but down there, Bill, your men will be working around the clock. Seriously, because they can't take a ripple down there.
You want to block the channel? How?
Just so they can't get in from the lake.
Right.
Because if they come down here just as
Plus they come down, create a wake.
they're going
All
to
right.
have that wake at 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Some people are buried.
Okay, we will do that. We have the DC Commissioner. We'll do that. I'll take a look at it
Definitely
today.
You got to put something so they can't come down here.
We will do that.
Thank you.
Done.
One question. You mentioned the aid available to homeowners and if there was some kind of salary requirement. Do you know what
$7 million is available for repairs to the home. There is an income cap, depending on how much money you make. So there's an income cap except for seniors. There is no income limit for seniors. Any damage to senior citizen homes that's not covered by insurance, the state will pay. But I first want to appeal to the insurance companies. And again, insurance companies are regulated by the state of New York. So it's not that easy for them to tell the state, go pound sand, pardon the pun. And I want to represent homeowners who need help with their insurance companies. That's the Department of Financial Services Mobile Command Center that comes up. It's in front of Bill's office. Use them to try to get an insurance coverage. If you can't get insurance coverage, then the state will pay.
Do you know that insurance cap for the income tax?
We can give it to you.
How soon could homeowners potentially see this money?
Very soon, very soon. Again, no. It can be days. I do want to try to appeal to the insurance companies first, because if the insurance companies pay, then the state doesn't have to. And obviously that would be my preference. People pay premiums for insurance. The insurance should be there when they need it. And let us try that. If we can't get anywhere with the insurance company, then the state will reimburse.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I want to thank the county executive. I want a special thank you to Bill Relic, who has done an outstanding job. Let's give him a round of applause. And your Senator Joe Roback has done a great job in Albany representing you and making sure we get this legislation passed. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you.
Sure.
We needed that.